Well, yesterday I had to make a trip in Mexico. I had to go to the border, and we had to think about how we wanted to go there. I was going to go with two people I don't really know well, and that's sort of the point of this story, which is I think you don't really get to know people until you travel with them. And but we all had to go basically to the Mexican embassy on the U.S. side of the border to check on our visas because even though you're not stopped when you come into Mexico as you cross the border as you are when you go from Mexico to the United States, they check your passport or your visa right at the border. You still have to have a visa. In fact, even if you just come for a couple of days, it's free, but you have to get a visa. It's not free if you're just going to stay for up to 6 months, but it's cheap. It's like $25. Anyway, we had to check on our visas, and I didn't really know them well. I'd met them once at some sort of meeting, expatriate meeting, and but we happened to meet at the same time at the store where we were getting information about where we needed to go, and it was advised to us that we should not go to San Diego because San Diego is very strict. That we should go to Calixico, which I had never heard of before in my life. Turns out it's the border town with Mexicali, which I had heard of. So we said, okay, let's do that. And we were going to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning and go drive 3 hours. And it occurred to us that maybe we should leave the night before. So on Monday afternoon at 3:30, I went over to their house and I got in their car with my overnight bag and we drove across Mexico. Actually, it was really extraordinary. We drove on the Boulevard 2000, which is a toll highway, which is extraordinary rock mountains. I've never seen anything like. I mean, they're boulder mountains that we drove through, and we got to Mexicali at about 5:30, and so it was getting to be dusk. And the driver, the woman, the wife was driving, the husband and wife. The wife was driving. The husband has some sort of disability, but he can drive and he can walk with help of the two walking sticks. And she said, where's the border? Which we both said. I said, well, there's a sign up there, we can go. And she had a GPS which worked in Mexico, which told her where the border was. But it was rush hour traffic and was getting late. And for some reason, she said, I'm going to go up there, make a turn. I went, oh, okay. But I've lived in Mexico a long time, and so I knew that when you make a turn and you think you might find a road that runs parallel to the road you're on, which has less traffic, that may not be so. There's a reason there's a main road. And that is usually whatever condition that main road is in, it is in better condition than any side road you're ever going to find. We made the turn off of the main road, which was filled with rush hour traffic, and straight into a typical sort of border town activities, a cacophony of noise and stores and signs and people and things being cooked on outside grills. And she said, oh, no, this isn't the right way. And I was thinking, yeah, right. This is not the right way. Thinking, well, she's just going to make a U-turn. Wrong. She thought in the American way, I'll just circle the block. But these blocks along the border towns were not built on a grid. They were built on whatever, there's an empty space, let's put another building there. Long story short, we got really lost, really, really lost, and now it was dark, and we are in Mexicali, which none of us know this town very well, and we're very lost. So finally we see a policeman, and she stops to ask him, but she doesn't speak very much Spanish, and I say, if you open the back window, I'll help, because even though I don't speak fabulous Spanish, I speak enough Spanish to understand directions. So finally we get the directions, and we're on the road that leads to the border. And there are 3 lanes. If you ever come to Mexico, as you know, there's a sentry lane, which is you have to get a pass from Homeland Security, which I happen to have, but they didn't, so we couldn't use that lane. There's the ready lane, which you can use if you have documents that have a certain little chip in them, not a clip, chip. And we had those, but we weren't in the ready lane. We were in the standard regular lane, which meant we were not moving. Okay. 45 minutes in that lane, we finally crossed the border, which was great. I'm exhausted. It's almost 7:30 at night, and we've been traveling since 3:30 over pretty rugged roads, not to mention getting lost. And I want to go straight to the hotel, which we do, and we check in, and I'm going to take a shower, and I'm going to read a book and rest. But she is going to fix her GPS, which now that she has Wi-Fi, she can handle. Or maybe she couldn't. I can't remember that, but I gave her my GPS, which works in the USA, just in case hers didn't. because she said she had to run an errand. She had to go to the Petco, which they don't have in Mexico. So I went to bed and to sleep and realized that I was traveling with somebody who preferred to take the road less traveled, no matter where it led to, as long as it wasn't filled with traffic. I went, oh, this is going to be something tomorrow, because we had to get up very early to get to the immigration office by 8 o'clock. And I did see her in the morning. They were having breakfast, and I came downstairs, and they said, well, they had found Petco, but they had gotten lost. And I thought to myself, and that's my story for today. Be careful who you travel with. Perhaps you should take a short trip before you go with them anywhere long.